Ladies and gentlemen, and dear friends, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're connecting from. One very vivid memory of any program in Loyola is that it always starts on time, and it's delightful to see that the practice still continues. On behalf of LOBA and Loyola School, I extend a warm welcome to the students, parents, teachers, ex-Loyolites, well-wishers, and very specially, of course, the very eminent speakers who are ex-Loyolites who have distinguished themselves and now have kindly consented to be with us at this, the very first program of Explore. Well, as many of you already know, Explore is a very exciting new LOBA initiative to open up horizons and opportunities for Loyola students and the LOBA family. The initiative aims primarily to engage our talented, experienced, successful LOBA members from various walks of life to provide career guidance and mentoring to Loyola students, both current students as well as those who recently graduated, as well as the children of LOBA members. This will be especially helpful for students who are exploring untraditional career streams, help them prepare for future job markets, smoothen their career tracks, and hasten their career growth. And through all this, help Loyola develop the next generation of well-informed, well-formed global leaders. The career options available to us today are plenty and many and very diverse too. Gone are the days when only a handful of professions were considered suitable to pursue. The options available are just mind-boggling, and the perspective of people have changed such that unconventional careers today are not only acceptable, they're also considered to be good and much appreciated. While students are spoiled for choice of the careers ranging from being creative to extremely professional, we believe that students will benefit enormously by engaging and listening to experiences, insights from very accomplished personalities that we bring forth through this program. The Career Guidance program will feature a series of interactive panel discussions over the next several months, featuring eminent and successful former Loyolites from different career streams sharing opportunities, capabilities, and pathways to their career options. Today is the first, featuring panelists from music, film, fashion design, and entertainment. And on number 23rd, we feature a panel focusing on medicine, dentistry, and healthcare. And this will be followed by three more in December and January. Let me now move on to the introduction of the speakers. I regret to inform that unfortunately, George Peter, who would have all loved to hear today, and a wonderful musician that he is, that have been exciting and delightful to hear from him. Unfortunately, due to some personal emergencies, he's not able to make it today. And if by any chance he can join in later, he said he would. But let me now start the introduction of the speakers in the panel. First, if you could briefly introduce yourself, and while doing so, you could also share what made you choose your career. Jishnu?
Good evening, everybody. It is an absolute delight to be here at Explore Loba. And my my regards, my best wishes to all of the parents and the students that have joined, the entire Loyola family. I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Very quickly about myself, I'm from the 1994 ICSE batch. I hung around for another couple of years till 1996, after which I pursued an engineering degree from NIT Allahabad in electrical engineering. I graduated in 2000. I then joined TCS as a software engineer. I spent 4 years there. I had a great time. I visited the US as part of an assignment. I explored the world of technology and things. At the time, I had considered a master's and then a PhD and things like that in the US. So I utilized that time there to try and see if I wanted to do that. But my trip to the US made me realize that I did not want to live there. And I came back to India and pursued an MBA. An MBA, in many ways, is like taking a dip in the Ganges. All your past sins are forgiven, and now you can do whatever it is that the world believes that if you have an MBA, you can do anything. So I did that. And then after that, I got an interest in marketing. And I joined ITC Limited, which is one of India's best marketing employers, especially if you would like to learn about branding and sales. I did that for about 3 years. And that is when I joined and pursued a music career with Swaratma. Now, the background to this is that throughout the time that I was in college, I was a professional, IT professional, I was a management student, I was a management trainee. I've always been involved in music. I always used to find myself gravitating towards other musicians because I used to enjoy playing music with others. So either I would join a band or I would form a band. I've formed bands in different colleges. I've formed bands in cities like Indore, which didn't have bands at the time and things like that. Until I moved to Bangalore with ITC in the year 2007, as I recall. And I joined through the friend of one of our co-panelists. Sumesh will know. Sumesh is one of Suraj Mani's very good friends. I joined Swaratma, the band, as a result of an introduction made by Suraj. And during that period of meeting this band, Swaratma, I realized for the first time that this is a band that is more serious about music than I was. And it was a hugely inspirational experience to be a part of a band that's writing their own songs, speaking out about the things that they believe in. And it was a thrilling thing. But at the time, even then, it was something to do on weekends. Until the year 2008, when a lot of excellent, amazing, really wonderful things happened to Swaratma in the year 2008. We got our first album release contract, our first international tour, our first out of station tour, and things like that. And it became obvious that if I did not take this seriously, I would never really know where this could lead. And so, with a lot of trepidation, I left my ITC job in the year 2009. The band Soratma then went on to release 3 albums. We've been on a number of international trips, tours. We have played concerts to a lot of people in a lot of parts of this country. We have contributed music to a lot of wonderful projects, and we continue to do so. But our thrill here is to feel strongly about the world around us and express that in the form of songs, which we love to perform. So that's been a part of my journey, and I'm happy to, share more experiences and listen to what it is that you have to say.
Thank you very much, Vishnu. That's certainly very interesting. I mean, you started off on a career which I think most of us would give, an arm and a leg to kind of to pursue, and he gives it up for what really was his passion. And we'll probably talk about that a little bit more as we go. But Santosh, can I ask you to carry on with the introduction and what led you to your career?
Hi, good evening, folks. My introduction is when I was in school, actually, all my friends either wanted to be doctors or engineers. And most of them actually, uh, can you hear me? Yeah. So most of my friends wanted to be doctors and engineers, and some of them, of course, pilots. And all these people have actually achieved what they wanted to be, either their own dreams or their father's dreams or parents' dreams. But they all are doing very well. So I think Loyola School has that ability to create something exciting in everyone as per their own dreams and desires. In my case, I was very much wanting to take up a job which would encourage me to travel and see the world. That's what my whole objective of my schooling was, because I loved the stories like in Jungle Picture, which we learned, and I was really amazed at the different places. And my whole dream in life was to have a job where it's not a 9 to 5 job and I could travel. And of course, I was very much interested in the arts because I used to sketch a lot. I used to follow painters. I was someone who was not really um, preparing myself to be joyful all the time. So I never prepared to worry, because I feel that when you start preparing yourself by worrying or by complaining, then it is almost like you're exercising doing that. So you better become good at worrying and good at all this. So I feel that sometimes it's better to just uh, practice being happy and like that. So I think there's a great joy in watching nature unfold. So when I was studying in school, and everything teaches you something or other. Like when I was in school, I used to play hockey, and it was my job to tell all my fellow hockey players by phone whether it will rain or not. So I used to stand on the terrace top and would observe the rain conditions, and I could predict rain after some time. But I also learned how the green looks so magnificent against the black cloud, how the wet trees look so amazing, and in a fleeting moment when the sun peeped in, you would see this shining glitters all over, and it was amazing. And I learned that the most beautiful things happen when there is transitions. So I learned a lot of my photography lessons by doing other things, but subconsciously absorbing most of this. So if you're very passionate about something, you should never confuse passion and make it into a profession, because then you might be disappointed. But if you feel that you have something to say and something to do, then I think you should pursue it. So after which I, of course, joined the Film Institute Pune, which is the most prestigious film institute. So after that, of course, I started out on a journey with the camera, making documentaries initially, and then getting into features. And then I was also fortunate enough to be awarded, or rather invited by the American Society of Cinematographers, and being the first one in 100 years since its commencement. Of course, the Indian government gave me a Padma Shri and all that stuff. So it has been a very interesting journey, and I also made most of the stories that I've learned in school into movies, actually, children's movies. Yeah. So that's it actually. Yeah. And I feel
Uh,
I'm just starting. Okay.
oh, you're just
Post-pandemic,
starting. Okay.
post-pandemic, post-pandemic starting. Because I
So
used to
for,
work with people like Enver Hussain, who was 90 when I was shooting his film, when I was filming for him. And he told me,
right,
Santosh, for the next 5 years, I'm booking you. And he was
right.
90 years old. So something that you have to take away from these artists and politicians is that there is no age limit for retirement. Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. So here
Yeah.
we have a person who's just starting. And the person who's just starting, by the way, incidentally, happens
Uh-huh.
to be a Padma Shri, happens to have got 14 national
No, no,
awards,
no, no, no.
happens to have, no, you're just starting,
Yeah, no,
happens to have got 21.
what is behind you? What is behind you? You forget. I always feel like
But
that.
but
Yeah,
just for the benefit of the audience, Santosh, permit me to
yeah.
indulge and let the audience know what
Mm.
is this thing that you're starting from. 14
Uh,
national awards, 21 international awards, the first GLA award, the Global Leadership Award that was instituted by LOBA,
that
and
was good.
also and
That was
also
good. I
this.
like that actually, because I could tell all my friends, know what, yeah, you guys have been studying in US and thing and all that. What's the point, man? Now
Santosh,
because they're all known as Santosh and Smash now. So what to do now?
Santosh, I'm going to come back to you on something which will be of interest to a lot of parents. And let's take that up in a little bit.
Yeah,
And that's a
please.
point around what you said about passion and
Yeah.
not to kind of necessarily be led only by passion when you choose a career. But let's come back to that in a little bit. But another very interesting personality, and of course, Jishnu talked about him very briefly, and I'm sure had George Peter been here, he would have had a lot to say for Sumesh, who is a person who's excelled in his career. Sumesh, can I have your introduction as well, please? Go ahead.
Hello. It's a huge honor to be in this panel. Thank you, Loba. Uh, this brief profile of my career. I think I passed out from Loyola in '86, 10th standard. Joined PKM Engineering College for Electronics and Communication, and then passed out in A92. Soon after that, I joined AsiaNet. AsiaNet was the first private television network in Kerala. Only ZTV and Star TV was launched before Asia. So it was a huge privilege to, join something which was on a technological, uh, you know, uh, I joined AsiaNet as a trainee and resigned in 2010 as assistant vice president. It was a career spanning 18 years, and been largely in projects during my career in AsiaNet. And so much technology advances were happening back then. There was the optic fiber technology being launched. There was internet over cable being launched. I was happy to be part of such revolutionary new technology. So my shift in career happened in 2000 when I started creating content for broadcast. So I was mostly interested in music, all forms of music, Indian and Western. The support of the management, I could launch a channel, a music channel for HNet network. It's called Rosebud. It was available only on the HNet network. So Rose Bowl was the beginning of many great things for me. I started directing shows, promoting new artists. In India, as you know, film music is the main thing. It dominates the music scene. So over 90% of what we listen to in India is film music. So like in the West, where the music industry is different from film music, we too had independent music scene, as we call it, back in the 90s. Bands like Rock Machine, 1380, Parikrama, Indian Ocean were all huge bands, even, and they brought out original music, and sold albums back then. So now the independent scene has seen a lot of superstars emerging over the years. In Kerala, the birth of Avial brought about a huge impact in the scene. I always believe that even one artist can probably change the scene entirely. So I was fortunate to shoot Avial soon after their first album was launched in 2007. So and then on and went on to shoot a lot of artists and emerging artists. In 2013, I got to conceptualize and launch the channel Kappa TV for Madhurabhumi. Now it was in this channel that I could create a platform called Music Mojo. It's a studio-based jam session. Uh, and where artists could showcase their original compositions, which I believe paved way for a vibrant indie scene in Kerala, especially Kerala. So new bands emerged from the show, bands like Thaikuram Bridge, Masala Coffee. Just examples. We've shot over uh, 500 bands in the last 6 years for music motion. Now, I also happened to direct a feature film in 2018. So it was premiered at the International Film Festival of Kerala, IFFK. It is called Humans is Some. It's there on YouTube. The full film is on YouTube. It went on to win awards in international festivals like the Berlin Festival, Los Angeles, UK, Chile, Tokyo, Kolkata, Cardiff. You must go and check out the film on YouTube. Uh, Currently, I head Wonderwall, a design and production house, now focusing on TV content, music festivals, talent management, talent export. What we do is we do cultural exchanges, work with export offices across the globe, export Indian artists to international showcase festivals, as well as bring um, international artists to India to tour India. So looking back, I realized my interest in music started with Loyola. So at Loyola, I still remember they used to play the Beatles and Carpenters and Eagles during our lunch interval sessions in the classroom. So that is when I came to realize, there is music outside film music. And I started exploring music, and I got to. So everything started with Loyola. So that's a short profile of what I do.
Thanks, Sumesh. That's a very, very interesting profile. It's also interesting that you said that your interest in music started in Loyola. I was chatting earlier with George Peter, and he had the same thing to say, and he remembered very fondly the music sir, and how the early lessons in Loyola really helped to build the foundation of what later was to become his career. And I can also see that, like Jishnu, you did take an insurance policy with an engineering degree first before you before you actually eventually decided to pursue your chosen career. But thanks Umesh for that brief introduction. And Vivek, can we have you on air, and can you give us an introduction of yourself? A very, very fascinating career. I'm sure a lot of us will be very keen to hear from you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is amongst the most well-dressed men in the country today. Go ahead, Vivek.
God. Thank you for that introduction. So my story starts in '96, but I would just like to say that at this moment I'm truly very, very humbled to be amongst the in the company of Santosh, Sumesh, Jishnu. It's fantastic to be here, and thank you, Loba, for having me. Coming back to my story, so my story is starts in '96, out of school. Um, this was the time when Sushmita had won the Miss Universe, and at that point of time, I was pretty certain that I wanted to do something different. And I was this guy in school who always used to spend much of my time excited about the youth festival than anything else. So was always interested in art, sketching, and everything that had to do with art and craft. And much to my parents' dismay, I decided that fashion is something that I would like to take. My dad's an engineer, mom's a teacher. The only thing that they wanted me to do was to either take up engineering or to be a doctor. And it was with a lot of struggle that I convinced them that this is what I wanted to do, because I had made up my mind and this was my dream. So, after I passed out of school, I did my pre-degree at the Government Arts College. I did my science. My dad literally made me write all the entrance exams possible across the country. But, I was a horse with closed blinkers, and I told him fashion is the only thing that I wanted to do. And I managed to get through the NIFT entrance, which was quite tough because there were only 7 centers at that point of time, long time ago. I graduated from NIFT winning an award, and I was placed in one of the nicest, perhaps, design companies in Chennai called Camacheria, where I had the privilege of working with a lot of European labels like Armani, Kenzo, Zara. These are some fantastic labels which does very beautiful value-added, products. During which I was exposed to the world of fashion, both in India and internationally, where we used to travel. We used to work with the designers. We used to create collections, and it was the most beautiful experience ever. One, to travel the world, B, to be there, amongst the likes of these international designers and see how they work and how they put collections together. It was very, very fascinating. 7 years down the line, while I was heading the creative team at the place that I worked, I decided that I wanted to nurture my interest in fashion a little more. So I decided to take up masters in fashion at the Domus Academy in Milan. And this is the twist in the story. So while I was a week away from leaving to Milan, I get invited to the India Fashion Week, saying, you are one of the Gen X designers that we've selected to show at Fashion Week. And kaput, there goes my parents' heart again, where, they thought that me going to Milan is going to fix all the issues. And unfortunately for them, and fortunately for me, I decided to stay back, take up the opportunity, and give it a shot at the Fashion Week, because I knew that I would be showing my collection amongst the likes of the greats like Rohit Bal and Tarun Tailiani, Manish Malhotra, and all of them. And my first show was in 2007 at India Fashion Week. It was very well received, fortunately. I decided from my experience at Fashion Week and from the reaction of a lot of people at Fashion Week that I'm going to work really hard to put the south of India on the fashion map. Because there was a preconceived notion about fashion and the south of India, and I decided that it's high time we changed it. And 13 years down the lane, we have a flagship store in Chennai. We retail with some of the best fashion stores across the country. We take our shows to a lot of international locations. We've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of interesting people like Ranveer Singh, Shankar Mahadevan, a lot of them, A.R. Rahman, Amy Jackson, Mohanlal. We've been fortunate enough to dress Mr. Christian Louboutin himself at the Met Ball. And I can say that perhaps, I'd be very fortunate to say that GQ has included me in the best dressed men list over the last 3 years. So very thankful for that. And it's been fun. It's been a great ride. It's been fun. And there is nothing more fabulous about me deciding to chase my dream. So, yeah, that's it.
Right. Thank you very much, Vivek. I must tell everybody listening here that it sounds very interesting. It sounds very romantic. Here's a fashion guru, and it looks so appealing. But I would really want to ask you that for all the glamour that there is, I would expect there's a lot of sheer hard work. And that's something I might want to probably come back perhaps with each of you. But before I get to that, you have now met everybody in the panel, and it will be useful if we can get some sense of who is there in the audience. So I'm going to quickly put up a couple of polls, and you see that right now on your screen. So can I request all the people who are attending this particular program to please answer the first question of the poll, which is, are you a Lyolite? Are you a parent? Are you ex-Lyolite? Are you a staff member? Or are you a guest? Can I request a quick answer to the poll? We'll stop in 5 seconds. So if you haven't already answered, please do so quickly. And we have one more question coming up immediately after this. That's great. I think almost all of you have answered. That's great. So let me quickly, before we go to the next question, just share what I see here. A large number of participants, close to about 50%, are actually Lyolites, and about 20% are parents, and another nearly 20% ex-Lyolites. And then the rest really being the staff and very few guests. So it's largely Lyolites, parents, ex-Lyolites. Great. So that's the profile of the audience. I have one more question coming up for you. So thank you very much for joining this program. And it's delightful to see and hear from such fantastic personalities. But on the subject matter, how interested really are you or your child in the careers being discussed today, which is music, cinema, entertainment, fashion? Are you very interested, you're not so sure, or not interested? Could you please respond as quickly as you can? We'll be closing this in 5 seconds. I can see 90% have already polled, so that's great. If you see me smiling when the results are out, it means that a large number are very interested. But I can't see the result yet. Well, you can see me smiling. So I can see that a very large number are very interested and a large number are interested. So between those two, we have close to 80% and 15% not so sure. And about 4% are not so interested. But thank you so much for coming. I'm sure it will still be interesting, even if this particular career option is not something that you might be keenly interested in. So thanks so much for the poll. Thank you for your responses. And now let me quickly go to the panelists with a few questions that I have for them. And I must remind you that if anybody who's attending would like to kind of ask questions to the panelists, I can see many have already started doing so. Please feel free to put the questions in the Q&A box. But Santosh, I'm going to ask you again a question where we left off. You made a very interesting statement. Actually, you made two. I'll let one pass. One was about don't make worrying a habit. And I think it's a great statement. And that's a great message for a lot of parents here. But I'll let that pass for now. But my question to you is this. You did mention that don't get carried away purely by passion. And when you're in your choice of making a career, there's a lot more to it. So how do you really decide? I mean, so I might be interested in movies, in cinema, I might be interested in music, I may be interested in fashion. Is it just a passion? Is it just a hobby? Or is it something that is, something which is more ingrained, which I should pursue as a career? How would you address that, Santosh?
I don't know exactly what to and how to answer that, because I think the best person to answer it would be the person who's making this decision, because he will know exactly what it is all about. The most important thing I feel is we should, before trying to attempt to answer the question when and how, we should answer why we want to do this. Why is very important to start off anything with. Why am I doing this particular job, or why do I want to take a photograph or make a film? So this why becomes the most important thing actually. Once you solve that, you know that this is why I want to do it. Then what you need is to have a motivation to do it. It can't be money, because I don't think uh, getting into films is an instant success to making money, because most of these art forms as we know it today, whether it's music or cinematography or film or anything, it touches people. And music, I think, is one of the most beautiful creative things, because it touches so many millions of people, even if it is done 10 years back. So the whole idea of touching people's lives, if I take a picture of and send it and give it to someone, there are so many people today who will tell Santosh took this picture 25 years back and things like that. It brings some kind of joy for them and so something like that. So I think arts is about touching people also. That is very important. There's nothing without the people. So I feel that it is very important to realize that. And unlike studying in school where we say 1 + 1 is equal to 2, we know the answer is 2. But for an artist, it's never 2. There is a problem. Because it is a creative process. So 1 + 1, like in a marriage, it can have 2 or 3 children. So it is never 2. So likewise, if you actually are trying to visualize something and try to picturize it, we are not recording it. So if you are going to make it something unique, then it cannot be what you learned. It has to be another expression to it. So it has to be added on. So some of your personality should come into it. How you see it, how you perceive it. So unfortunately, you can't learn this business. It is not something that you can learn. Even if you want to learn photography, the right way would be to, or filmmaking, to go to film institute. But even for going to film institute, you need a degree. That's a master's. So you need a degree to go to a film institute. This is very important because you can't simply make films without any experiences of college life or this life or that life. So all of this is just a journey. Then finally, when all this happens, you know it within you if you can be good in it or not. So you're the best person to make the choice. It is not the parents. It is that particular person. And if he has answered the question, why I want to do this, then he is on the right track, actually. And because there's no real, way, or there are lots of ways to get to where you want to go, but there's no particular way for anyone, actually. So everyone has to make their own journey. Like when I listen to all these people, you realize that they all had it in them to do what they want. And sometimes they want realize it directly. Sometimes it took time to divert into what they want. So that is up to you, actually.
Right.
So I
That's a
would
great
advise
answer.
you to finish your studies, be very good in studies. Not that I was very good, but still, but be good in studies and get all the degrees, and then you transport yourself so that your parents are also happy, like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Thanks, Santosh. So I think the message really is that each one for himself. You need to figure it out yourself. Parents obviously have the best of interest, and they'll certainly be people who will want to advise, which is good. They could certainly be influencers. But end of the day, it really is each individual to understand, realize, and do best for himself or herself. I also think while you answered, Santosh, I was doing some peeps on the Q&As, and there were some questions saying that after 12, can I directly jump to movie making? But you already answered it that education is important. You mentioned about the film institute and things that you learn from there being important. You also did mention that money is not necessarily, in your case particularly, a great driver. Not that it need not be for others. But I'm going to kind of, Sumesh, ask you this question of what defines success? I mean, in Santosh's case, he says, no, it's just not, I mean, there's more to it than just money for sure. So what really is success? Is it about contentment? Is it about fame? Is it creative joy? So what really does success mean? And yeah, what is your perspective on that, Sumesh? What does success mean to you?
Absolutely, creative joy. I mean, I am able to do something which I really love doing. So it's always an experiment every day. So I keep trying new things, and doing that and earning, is great. I mean, so that to me is success. It's happiness. It's a
Yeah,
journey.
actually,
In fact, you get to learn more things. Yes, on the
yeah, he's very right because I think sometimes money becomes secondary, and you end up actually as you more experience and all that. Money becomes very secondary, but then there are people who pay you very well also. So it is not, and you are doing something which you enjoy even if you didn't take money. Just now I finished shooting for Arvind Swamy, who's making a debut film for web series. Now the money for that film we are not paid because the money for that film is being used to help the cine workers. When it's on Netflix, it'll come now actually. So I think sometimes it's not about the money. We had a great time shooting for 7 8 days, and no one is getting paid, but you feel that you're doing for a cause. And for me, it was also good because after a long time, I'm shooting after 3 months of pandemic and I'm filming. So I was very excited to
Right,
film anyway. So I
right.
sometimes think it's not about money. And sometimes I feel money is also important because some of your dreams can be true, and your dreams necessarily does not mean to do with films. I also do a lot of documentaries. So I did a documentary on a Kutanad farmer. So spent about 2 months filming him doing his various work, and then finally I decided that farming is the best job, to in the life in someone's life. So I bought 2 acres of land and I'm growing a forest in Pondicherry. So it's fun. Now I'm not getting any money out of it, but when I see these wild peacocks come and go and all, it gives you tremendous joy. It is the same thing the kind of joy you get when some people say that they saw your film and were very affected by it and all that. Same kind of joy. So I think that high is what keeps you going actually.
So Santosh, you actually kind of ruined it for me in some ways. When you kept saying that, money is not important, I thought I'll finish the webinar, give you a call and say, here's my bank account number and money is important for me. But then, but then you said money is also important. So,
Yeah.
in
sure.
my line, in fact, it is more of creating opportunities for others too. For example, uh,
Absolutely.
nothing much is happening these days. In the past 6 months, I think the entertainment industry is the worst hit in terms of, especially the music industry, the technicians, the production houses. So everyone is suffering. So even we couldn't actually shoot Music Mojo for the last 4 months, and there are another 10, 15 bands lined up to be recorded. So last week we created something new, whatever possible within the possible COVID protocol situation. We went to the Western Ghats in a Chinar wildlife sanctuary. We shot a series called Eye on Music. So within the protocol we could do such things. So that again is creating opportunities for artists. That in fact, once we start creating those opportunities, everything else will come together. Everything else will start
That's
happening. That is
absolutely.
what I always believe.
Absolutely, and I can see that really gives you a lot of joy. Particularly you being a person who is involved in actually creating numerous music festivals where you bring people together, giving them all opportunities together, and the more that you give, and the more that you kind of engage them, that really gives you joy, which is great
Yeah,
to
just
hear.
to see the audience really enjoying a music concert. They're just
Exactly.
having a great time. Is high. I mean, an absolute high for me. So that
Right.
is the whole.
Right. Vivek, let me come to you with a question. Uh, so we talked about successes, right? And it's not always a bed of roses. And that's what in your introduction also, it may not be your case, but I suspect it will be. I believe that anybody who is kind of made extremely well for himself or herself would also have had a lot of struggles. So can you, and assuming that is true, can you tell us a little bit about what were some of the struggles? What are some of the failures? What are some of the difficult experiences you've had to get to where you were, where you are?
Like I said, because I chose the less, trodden path, it was extremely difficult for me to make people understand what it is that I'm doing, right? As in, because when you talk about fashion, the only thing that comes to everyone's mind is about the fashion show. But I think behind all the glitz and glamour, there is a lot of hard work, blood and sweat that goes into, conceptualizing, bringing the collection together, the pattern making of it, how it all comes together to make it look the way it does, right? Now, for me, I still remember, when I was in college, that was in NIFT, my dad used to send me a small, measly pocket money of 600 rupees, right? And that wasn't enough to buy any stationery. I had to really, I decided that I needed more money, and I decided to work in a restaurant as a steward from 7 in the evening to 2 in the morning for a salary of 800 rupees. And it was the most beautiful experience of my life. And it has actually shaped me to think the way I think today, because it was very humbling and it taught me the value of a lot of things, right? And it was very, very tough for me to get to where I was, because there is a lot of preconceived notion relevant to fashion and what it is about, where you have to constantly prove to everyone around you that it is not just the models and the glamour and all of that, but there is a lot of very beautiful, interesting things that you need to do and that you do to make it look the way it does, right? And we started one brick at a time, Vijay, as in, we started our business, if I can say so, from a small little room, a rented machine. And fortunately, until before COVID, we were, around giving employment to around 50 people, and being able to support a lot of artisans and craftsmen, and that the sheer joy of doing that has been fantastic. More importantly, I would say that my biggest hardship was to constantly prove to people that, fashion is something that is something that you can make a living out of. Going with Santosh said, I think it is very important not to mix passion, with it being a profession, because most creative people don't end up making money because of that, right? So I think it's extremely important, if you understand what you want to do, and if you chase it from the bottom of your heart, irrespective of all the lows that you go through, because I think every low makes you stronger. I feel that it is a great experience. Every failure that I have had has been the biggest gift, I think I can say so, because I think I've been able to come back stronger. I've been able to learn from it, and it has helped me shape my future possibly in a better way.
That's brilliant, Vivek. And I just love what you said, that a failure is really a stepping stone to success. And if you're able to learn from our failures very clearly, we really are a beneficiary from the whole process. Thanks, Vivek. That's very nicely put. Jishnu, I'm going to come to you now. I've been watching some of your TED Talks. Jishnu is very, very popular. And I was watching this TED Talk where you explain the story behind some of your creations, like Pyasi and the song Topi Wale, which is about the politician taking pot shots at them, and also Yeshu, Allah, or Krishna, which is about the hypocrisy in religion. What rings through all that is the enormous amount of passion that you have for what you do, just like everybody else. But my question is this. Many parents and students worry when it's not very clear to them as to what am I cut out for? What should my career be like? And personally, my brother, for example, while he was in high school, was very clear he wanted to be a doctor. And he pursued it, became a doctor. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I'm not sure I still do. But the point really is that particularly parents and maybe students start getting worried that it doesn't seem to be obvious. Now, here's a person who has done the engineering and MBA, again from fantastic institutions like NIT and XLRI, which is extremely good. But later on, completely switched and chose something else. So what is your advice for parents and students who have some anxiety about their state of mind with a decision not being clear?
Very glad you asked that question, and I'm very happy to be able to answer this question with my father in attendance. I just checked that he was a part of the panelists, and I'm very grateful to him for joining. And as you rightly pointed out, we've all, both myself, my father, and families of my friends, we've all gone through that kind of anxiety. And what I have to say is this: it's okay. Just relax, because it's not necessary that you must have all the answers today. We place in our society a great emphasis on certainty. In fact, the entire schooling system and the degrees and everything else that you pursue is to guarantee a certainty in the outcomes. That you do this, you do an MBA, you are guaranteed that you are going to have a job that will get you by. And certainty is important. However, when it comes to the things such as creative expression, there really is no way to know for sure whether what you believe in is going to work out, quote unquote, whatever that means to you. The only way to find out is to get into it, is to flow into it and give it what you think is your best. Once I was backstage at an NDTV studio. This was when I had just joined Swaratma, and there was an interview. They wanted some upcoming bands and established bands, and they wanted to talk to them and all of that. The show itself was not as memorable as the backstage conversation that I had with members of Indian Ocean, the pioneering folk rock band, whom we've looked up to over the years. And one of the members of Indian Ocean, the late Oshim Chakraborty, was sitting backstage having tea and Mari biscuits with us. Um, and over the course of the conversation, he said something very, very important. And he said in Hindi, and I'll translate, अगर आपको मजा आ रहा है तो उसको struggle मत बोलो. If you're enjoying what you're doing, don't call it a struggle. And the whole struggle part of it in the whole creative industry is very romanticized and spoken about. And he struggled for 10 years and then he made it. He was probably having a good time. And if you are able to create environments around you or place yourself in environments where you're enjoying the process of creating what you're creating, whether it's designing fashion or putting together concerts or imagining what a transition in two states of nature is going to best look like, whatever that may be. In my case, it is, I feel strongly about the way politics is treated or mistreated or ignored. And can we have some fun around this? That's not a struggle, that's fun. And if you can put yourself in that situation where you are having fun and doing something good out of it, chances are that you might end up on a panel like this and people want to know what you're thinking. And that's great.
Right. Thanks. Thank you, Jishnu. I'm sure, respects to your father who's watching, I'm sure he'll be a proud man today for the wonderful things that you do. Sumesh, let me come to you. Very often, when someone is interested in pursuing something which is not strictly the conventional choice of careers, one of the things parents would say is that, you can look at that later on. Why don't you first take your insurance? So you took the insurance. I mean, like Jishnu, you took an insurance, right? Do you see, two questions. One, do you now in hindsight, with the benefit of hindsight, do you see that as a waste of time? And second, what is your recommendation? I mean, if someone is very clear that, for example, they would like to pursue music, would you suggest they just pursue music or take an insurance if the parents feel that engineering degree or a lawyer's degree or some such is important first? What is your perspective, Sumesh?
Yeah, I had to take the insurance because my parents wanted me to become an engineer. So I became an engineer, got a job, and I was into it completely. I was into the job and I was enjoying it, the projects and the technology and everything. But on the way, there was something missing. I couldn't really do what I really wanted to do. So though it seems very cliche, I I thought that was the whole point where I started creating opportunities within the system itself. So I proposed for a channel in a nation, and then I could do what I wanted to do within the system. So I was just wise about it. And I started the career switch when I had a really successful corporate career, and I thought enough is enough, and I just wanted to jump, and as they say, grow wings as you go down, right? So I made the plunge. I didn't really know whether it was going to be successful in that kind of profession. But over the years, I think the industry has improved. The music industry has evolved. The independent industry has evolved itself to and it has become a major industry now. So I didn't know when I actually jumped into it that it would be successful. So I guess with my experience, I guess for people to actually pursue this career, it is a bit risky even now. So I would suggest that they get a degree, get a good job, and then see how it goes. Maybe like 10 years after a successful job, you could probably get into your passion and and get into something alternate that will bring you more joy.
Right.
That is what I think.
I have something to add to that. I agree with what Sumesh has just said. But the thing that I want to add is that I don't think it needs to be seen as compartments of from this year to the next 3 years, I'm going to spend in getting an insurance in the form of an engineering degree that my parents want. Then I'm going to become an artist and I'm going to make films or make music or draw or write or whatever it is. To be able to express what you feel about the world, you need to have experienced the world. And when you go to college or you do anything, when you are in a part of whatever social structure or system that it is, that is the raw material. That is what you imbibe, and the things that you feel are what are going to come out of you in the form of an artist later.
Absolutely.
Important thing to do, and this I quote my bandmate Vasu, who's I've been in the band with for the last 12 years, is that if you even make me do the work of an accountant, I'm going to do it like an artist. And that is a very important thing to imbibe. If you think that you are an artist, you can be an engineering student as an artist. You can be a technologist as an artist. Some of the greatest technologists of the world, the greatest scientists have all been artists. The way that they approach it, the way that they're able to connect seemingly unconnected things and create something new is a big part of art. And if you're doing that while studying engineering or medicine or whatever it may be considered, I would look at it in hindsight. Of course, I didn't know I was doing this at the time. But if you go through life like a sponge and you're able to absorb all of the good feelings and the bad feelings, when you do choose to be an artist, it's going to help you.
Right, right. Thanks, Sumesh and Jishnu. That's very nicely put. Let me come back to you, Santosh. Now, one of the things, and I could be completely foolish in saying this, but one of the impressions that I have often heard, at least, is that there's a lot of nepotism within the film industry. Now, which means that you might have talent, but you don't have hereditary privileges. And is that really true? And so, if there is many in this audience who, and I can see from the question, there are a lot of people who are interested in cinema. How challenging is it? And is it really that they're starting on a back foot because of the lack of these hereditary privileges?
I don't think it's a easy thing to get into the profession. You know, see,
Santosh,
normally when I
you had the benefit of your dad, who was a very famous person, a very famous photographer.
yeah, that's also there, but actually it was a disadvantage. You know, it was a
Okay.
disadvantage actually that you tend to realize later on. You know, because after I passed out of film institute, I thought I was a genius. Of course, all the people when you pass out such a big institute like that, you think you're a genius, so you wanted to get going. So I met one of my dad's friends, who's a filmmaker, and told him, "Uncle, I know him as a kid. Uncle, I'll shoot your next film. I don't think your films look that good anymore, you know. So he said, okay, Santosh, have you finished and all that? I said, yeah, yeah, they can't teach me anything anymore. I'm too good and all that. So I went back, and then later on, because I had left my glasses behind, when I went to take the glasses, I realized that he's on the phone to my dad saying, this boy should go and assist someone for 5, 6 years. Then only you learn something. Otherwise, everyone will say that just because he is your son, that you can't be a talented person as well, you know. So it starts as a disadvantage if you know someone who your dad knows, then it is like it's like, okay, I'm just doing it because of him, and they don't have any confidence in you, which is a very bad thing to happen. So I
Santosh,
decided that I will not assist anyone, because I didn't want to assist anyone, because I thought I was too good to assist and all that stuff, you know, waste my time. So I didn't know what to do, but fortunately I was making a living that time, because I was a pretty good still photographer. I could take lots of still pictures, and I'd learned from Kodak photochemistry and everything. So I was very qualified, still photographer. So I did a lot of advertising and things like that. So I knew that I wasn't worried about making money or anything like that. I was only worried about not being able to travel, you know. So those days I used to travel to different districts in Nagarkoil and all that for Vivekananda Kendra, so that I will shoot these Balwadis, children in school, so that they get donations from Tata and all these people. So I used to see life around me, because I always realized that after school also you need to learn lot more. And school and universities and colleges were all first hand education. They are not all second hand education, because it was a collective experience of a lot of students who shared the same kind of learning. Whereas when you travel on your own, each has their own distinct lessons that they learn and absorb, seeing things around them. So it's a learning process all the time. So that made me more adventurous. I think, come to think of it, when he says, when Vishnu was saying that you should be adventurous, it is very interesting. So we also read about, you know, in school, there's a book called Jungle Picture, you know, Noah books, jungle picture stories. So I was very impressed with all these jungle stories. So I decided that when these people offered me a job to teach children, that I said I will do it. They said Arunachal Pradesh. I heard it as somewhere next to Andhra Pradesh. I didn't know that they were going to take me all the way to China border and dump me in the middle of nowhere, full forest, and I'm sitting there in a school which is in 3 acres or 4 acres, with children having swords in school. And there was Mahatma Gandhi statue that they had made in front of the school, which looked like them only, because it's like Buddha became Chinese when it went to China, like that. And Mahatma Gandhi was well built, muscled, calf muscles, because they're like that. And his stick was raised high, you know. So I said, but he wasn't a non-violence and all, whatever we made him out to be. Then they said, no, sir, you didn't know. He only chased the British out of India. So very excited kind of people. But some of the best lessons also I learned from them, you know. When their dog died, they buried the dog 6 feet under a tall tree. And they told, because for them, anything with a mystery has to have an equal blend of light and darkness, which is very much what I do in my photography, actually. But the fact is that anything with life has to have a mystery. So the roots are carnivorous, but it brings beautiful flowers. So you need all kinds of experiences in your life. And later I realized, I learned another big thing. That is that you have to believe in yourself. Because after this episode, it was getting very dark. And all the fireflies had started coming out, and it's very disturbing darkness, because there in those mountains, Himalayas and all that, when the sun goes behind the hill, it is like a light is switched off, you know, and suddenly it's all very magical. And suddenly we are going through the forest back to our school, when suddenly they stop and they surround me and they do hush hush and all that, take out their sword and things like that. So I wondered what the hell is happening. Then they pointed and said, sir, two tiger prints. Two tiger prints. I said, what the hell are you talking about? Then he said, yes, two tiger prints. And then I'm thinking that the tiger must be somewhere hiding in the tall grass, and thinking, oh, one South Indian dinner on our way or something like that. You know, who knows? That time I was thinking all that. Then I asked this person in the boy, Apong, if you see a tiger, what will you do? Then he said, we will run very fast and climb tall tree very fast. Even with the little coconut climbing experience, I don't think I can be that good to do that if you see a tiger. So I told the boy, see, Apong, I don't know how to climb tree and run like you very fast. So what do I do? Then he looked at me very confidently and said, don't worry, sir. You see tiger, you learn everything very fast. you know. So I think the idea is that everyone knows somewhere that it is there. So every day there should be a tiger behind you. Then what you can accomplish in um, uh, 1 hour, you'll accomplish in 15 minutes, like that. So you should say that the only thing that is valuable and we don't have is the time. The time is very valuable. So we should do. Achievements are okay. Achievements are what when you do something. Like when I was a kid, we used to make sand castles near the closer to the wave, the more exciting. And then there is a strange pleasure when the wave comes and smashes it also. That is also there. Just like they do in Ganapati Puja, after 10 days of celebrating, they dump it into the sea. So that is also a process, So we should not think too much about past achievements and, oh, I got that, nothing like that. That all will come and go. But the fun of doing something is something that you should relate, just like Jisoo was telling, that we should enjoy the moment. When you make a sandcastle, the more closer to the wave, it is more fun. If you take it away, it is not so much fun. So there is that danger attached to it, which we have been trained in childhood itself to enjoy. So, and also we as children have been given these amazing 18, all humans have this 18 years of being under the parents so that you can discover, not like animals. Like humans have the tendency to wanting to discover. So they're under the care of the parents till 18. So they have so many questions arising out of the mind. So it's a part of human nature. And you realize that it is the same all over the world, actually. It's not just here or there. So I think it is amazing. And you should be truly thankful every day that you are normal. Don't have, you have all the faculties intact. There are so many people without all those faculties, for whom it is more challenging. So I think we should be grateful for what we have and see how we can create maximum joy in our lives.
Right.
That is what is important.
It's interesting, Santosh. I mean, I'm not sure I got the answer to the question, which is of whether there's nepotism, but it was so fascinating listening to you, so I just thought I would interrupt. But certainly very, very
No,
interesting.
it is not nepotism. If you're talented, your talent has to come out somewhere,
It will.
And
Right.
I think today it is the much easier way of doing it because photography in those days and filmmaking in those days were much more expensive and complicated.
Right.
Now
Absolutely.
digital world has come. Even before learning to read and write, you have actually learned how to take a picture.
That's
But
right.
then you also miss things. Like when you take a picture with the camera is not the same as sketching. When you sketch, you have to observe. So
Right.
when you do something in school and you learn to sketch, even though in school
I'm tempted to ask you about the instance of a biology class
yeah.
where you were asked to draw a frog, weren't you?
Yeah, Shanta. See, because when you sketch, you want to sketch very interesting. In school, when I was Shanta and I was our teacher actually, and so they wanted to show the parts of a cockroach actually. So I had the cockroach sit next to a window, light and shade, very very stylishly, and then it is connected to a spider web. So she has to look at where this web is going to find out the answers. So it was remarkable. It was a very remarkable sketch. So she gave me some marks for sketch, but 0 for biology. So I
That's
think,
hilarious.
but
That's
it was
hilarious.
fun to do all that. But in school, I used to do quite a bit of that. I like my Sir Kuriako sir, even though I was very bad at maths. Kuriako sir was my favorite teacher, and he still is. I met him during the global event. I invited him personally. I wanted to meet him actually. He said that I'll be never good at maths and you're a hopeless guy and all that, because I invented what he called the new mathematics, which is very good because instead of writing the answer as 5, I would give him an equation to complete the answer. So if the answer is so, he
I
has
think
to do all that.
I really think, Santosh, you should recommend to Loba to do one session on my life in Loyola with just you as a speaker. I think it'll be a it'll be a very
Yeah,
exciting
it'll
session.
be a lot of fun because it'll be. I think it'll be. We actually have this fun thing in our WhatsApp group,
Yeah. But
76 batch.
for what of time, Santosh, let me just come back to
Yeah.
the career guidance part, and I'm going to leave this open to any of you on the panel, which is that it's possible that some of you might have had people who are mentors to you, who have really supported you, and who have really helped and guided you. Is there anyone among you who really has a strong experience that you would like to speak about? And how valuable, how useful is it to have good mentors in your careers? It's an open question.
I don't know if mentors are interesting, but I don't think. I think uh, as far as films are concerned, most of the filmmakers that you admire are your mentors without actually you meeting them. You learn from them. You learn from what others have done too, when things were much more difficult. Their sensibilities. For example, I can have teachers like Raja Riverma, okay, who my grandmother used to teach painting in the palace. So she would bring all these calendars, and then she would describe these stories after school. And then we will be all taken into this fantastic world of, it was a visual education. You imagine, Garuda coming and all these things. So that's also kind of education and a mentor. And then later you followed his painting style and did that in a film called Perindachin. So you tend to have people like that who might have influenced you, which is very interesting. So people are influenced you in certain ways, and of course you yourself have influenced so many people.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
so you have
Absolutely.
it is like give and take.
Right. Right. Vivek, were you also wanting to say something on that?
No, I was just, thinking about what you said, and I feel that having a good mentor just changes the ball game because, out of my experience, we've been lucky enough to have a few people come into our lives at the right time to point us in the right direction. Because for us, everything that we do has been a discovery. It's been a lot of risk. It's been a journey of sorts, and more often than not, we found ourselves at the end of a tunnel and we say nowhere to go. And there comes someone, with a guiding light telling us to think a certain way. And I think that's the beauty of a mentor. I think a mentor is able to, a good mentor helps you look at things with a different perspective, but not necessarily to tell you what to do and what not to do. And I think that is, and for me, I would say from my own personal experience, life after COVID, as in we were at a place where, what we did was down to zero because there was no occasions, no events, no weddings, and there was no need for occasion wear or fashion anymore, right? Everyone were in their pajamas, and that was comfort. So when we were at that time and when we had to sustain ourselves, I think with the help of a mentor, I think I was able to kind of look at it with a completely different perspective, which helped me reinvent, right? And I think that's so important to have good mentors who's able to make you look at things differently. And I feel that has been the guiding light from, from for the last 8 months to where I am today. So I'm very, very thankful.
Right. Thanks, Vivek. I'm going to kind of have you share some more thoughts here because I can see a lot of questions that have come up, and I'm slowly going to take some questions as well as we speak. And there are a good number of questions for you, relating to the fashion industry. So let me read this question from Akshay Akash, who asks, what is the scope of the fashion industry in India? What is the scope of the fashion industry in India? How hard is it to start up an independent fashion label or brand? And let me add to that with asking you, what really is the job market like? And also, how do you see the progression of this profession in time to come? So if you could just give a overall.
Sure. I think to answer that very quickly, I think you are at a time where it is the most easiest to be able to explore and to for the exposure that you have today, right? As in from where we came from, there was no exposure and very few people knew about fashion. And I really don't think that the kind of opportunities that you have today, because you're talking about, fashion bloggers, you're talking about stylists, you're talking about editors, fashion editors, the amount of opportunities that you are insane, because I think that, fashion has just gone beyond clothes. It's become more of a lifestyle, right? So I think there is so much to explore in terms of job opportunities. What was the first question, Vijay, that you asked about?
This was more about one about the kind of scope within the fashion industry.
Right.
In India, what's the kind of opportunities that you have?
Right.
And also, how do you see it progressing? How do you see the industry progressing
Right.
in time?
I would say that in the last 15 years, I think the fashion scene in India has exploded to the extent that I think Indian fashion is of repute, and there is a lot of respect that Indian fashion designers are given in the international circuit. We have designers like Rahul Mishra, Sabyasachi, all of them showing at the Paris and the New York Fashion Week. And I think Indian fashion is something which is being looked at for the art and craft and the colors and whatever that India has to offer in terms of culture in a very, very beautiful way. And it is only going to go from strength to strength from now on.
Right.
With the amount of colleges which is available right now, the training institutes, and the exposure that we've had, I think it is going to be a huge boom, which is already happening, if I may say so.
Right.
To start a new brand, I feel that you need the grit and the risk-taking ability to go through that whole process of getting your fingers dirty, learning, and then to be able to establish.
Right. That's interesting. Thank you, Vivek. To Jishnu and Sumesh on the music scene, the question really is, could you give us some advice in terms of what might be the appropriate courses to kind of pursue, which are some good colleges, what is the admission process like, what kind of training, what kind of apprenticeship, how does one prepare himself or herself for this career?
Well, there is no easy answer to that. And I speak for George as well. And we had discussed this a little earlier, where George also said that he hadn't had any professional, formal training in music. And to be honest, neither have I. However, I grew up on music because there was always music surrounding me when I was a child. My father uh, used to and still does sings Ravindra Sangeet at home. We used to every Sunday morning used to be old Hindi film songs. I've heard a lot of music, but unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to learn music formally, and there is a certain
Interesting.
merit to that. So there is a certain um, value to learning the craft itself. Now, music is music, whether you're learning vocal or instrumental, the fundamentals of which remain the same. It is, in fact, a very primal human form of expression, more basic than man-made forms of language. I mean, something that a piece of music that you write can cut across any kind of language or class or nationality barrier. But there is a method to it. There is a certain craft to it, and if you can learn that without getting into the fact that the learning and the process is important, and that is actually my big beef, or rather my gripe or complaint against arts education in general, that when you are taught a particular art, whether it is painting or whether it is music, it often devolves into I want you to learn the process and replicate, rather than I want you to learn these techniques which will help you to express yourself. So, coming back to the question of what are the courses that you can take, what are the apprenticeship, what is the college that you can join, I don't really have the right answers to it because they are not from my personal experiences. Yes, there are excellent colleges and institutes where you can learn music formally, but more than that, I would say is um, learn the specifics of a certain form of music that you like, that is important, but temper that with the idea of living life and experiencing it so that you're able to play and create the kind of music that appeals to you first and therefore appeals to other people.
Right. Uh, Thank you, Jishnu. Sumesh, would you have any comments on that, on the same question?
I mean, looking at some of the key careers in the music industry, we're looking at the music business. There is a music producer. So a producer understands both the creative and the commercial aspects of and the business, and develops relationship between musician and the record label. So the producer should create an environment and enables artists to create and express themselves. So the music producer is a key career these days. So what you learn to become a music producer, looking at basically you have to learn about the foundational audio and music concepts, start studying various types of software, and dive into what makes a good sound. To be a truly great producer, you need to acquire knowledge in engineering and mixing. So that is a great career to actually, venture into. Now there is an artist manager like us. An artist manager create exists to create opportunities, connect and take the music forward for any artist. We have to really understand the artist, and it's a sustainable career. In fact, you need management and leadership skills, you know, um, organizing multiple what do you call functions between musician publishers, booking agents, concert venues. So you have to organize all this. So the artist manager is also a key career that you can pursue these days. Then there are tour managers again, they actually uh, in fact, you will learn a lot of logistics as well to actually you know become a good tour manager. You should have good accounting skills. You have to learn accounting. You have to do daily scheduling management. So the tour manager is one other key area. Then there is the booking agent. Who actually books an artist, a concert venue. These are all. And then there is the music publicist. You have to promote your music. So these days, promoting music is a key role. So it is a marketing based role. So these are some of the key careers that are emerging in the music industry.
Thanks, Sumesha. That's a lovely answer. And as you said that, I realized that's something we could probably spend a little bit of time on, but now since we might have to wind down, we probably wouldn't get into it. But the point really is that if you take music or you take fashion or you take cinema, there are lots of different options within that. So this is a fairly wide industry. And for example, in cinema, you really could be a producer, you could be a director, you could be an editor, you could be a cinematographer, so much. And likewise for fashion, likewise for music. But Santosh, one quick question to you before I ask the last question. The last question, I'll ask you what the question is now, but a question to Santosh first. The last question I want each of you to think about is what's a final message to youngsters looking to enter this career? But before we get to that, Santosh, a question to you. And there's a question that's come up. It's an anonymous question. And the question is, how important would you say short films are in this day and age for a student filmmaker? How does one attract an audience for it? So we see a lot of people making these short films these days. The question is, how important is this for a student filmmaker, and how does one attract an audience for it?
I think the main thing is, if you make a film with some strong content. So cinema, short films have a very universal viewership. So to find visibility in social media is not very difficult at all. It is very easy actually. And maybe for an aspiring filmmaker, this could be your first step, a step towards greater, opportunities. And a short film is, there are competitions, so people will see it. And if you have done something innovative and interesting, and especially if you have something really nice to say, you can be very sure it will be noted. And it is a very good first step to make, actually. I would very much advise people who really think that they want to do, they can make it on even a phone. That is enough for a social platform that should do. So it is not about why is the most important thing. Why do you want this? So that's it. I've lost sound.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. That's a great answer, Santosh. And it's also comforting, I'm sure, to a lot of people who are currently pursuing making short films with a lot of passion. Santosh, a question to you next is, what really is a message to youngsters who are looking to enter your career?
I think most importantly, I think making a short film is fantastic, whether you're a director or a short filmmaker or whatever, or a cinematographer. So because you will get to know your hands around things. It's not as easy as one thinks it is.
Right.
Otherwise, so I think once you have made sure that this is what you want to do in life, then don't lose focus. I think what Sumesh and Jishnu and all these people talked about is exactly that. Don't lose focus after you have committed. After you have jumped into the sea, then you better learn how to swim. So once you get into it, you don't lose focus. And I think, someone was Vivek was talking about mentors coming in. There will be someone who will come in who, if they feel that you're very sincere and making an effort, there are always people who will come and help you out achieve your goals. So I think don't lose faith in people. That is what I would say.
Right.
So
Thank you.
you're not alone. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Santosh. I think it's a beautiful answer. A couple of points very clearly that came out is one is about staying focused and keeping at it. And the other point that you mentioned, which I think is a great point, that someone will come sometime. And I've always felt that if you're really passionate, there'll be a lot of people who will really kind of be there to help you succeed.
Exactly.
Right. 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 So, Sumesh, let me go to you. What is your final message to youngsters who are choosing music as a career?
There are great opportunities in music, and music industry, as you said, is huge and it's still very unexplored. So if you have the passion to actually uh, work hard, in this industry, it creates a lot of
Come and
opportunities
see.
for you. And before I leave, I just wanted to talk about one person who actually shaped my career, shaped me as a person. It was Father Britain, uh, our class teacher at Loyola. Our 86 batch, he was with us for 3 years. Uh, I'm sure all the 33 of us who was in the class would agree. He was revolutionary. He changed everything that we believed till then. So he basically was a person who influenced me. I mean, the most influential person I ever came across. And I just want to tell that particular thing to all my, all the 33 classmates I have would agree to that.
Thank you, Sumesh. That's very nice of you to say that. So very clearly, there are a whole lot of unexplored opportunities. Go get them. And Sumesh, since you mentioned it, I'm going to take the liberty of making a statement here as well. Likewise, as in your case, I've had a person who's really changed my life. I was a person who was regularly taken to the principal for acts of mischievous behavior. I had the good fortune of being the school leader, but even then it used to continue. It was not perhaps a case with precedent that the school leader would be taken for misbehavior to the principal. But he was one person who, in my mind, really changed everything for me. And I would like to kind of not just to my classmates, but the entire world today that I owe it to him, not for having made it big, which I have not, but certainly for having seen through and not become a rogue, which I might have become had it not been for the deep understanding he had in how to bring up children. And I think that I think the school has benefited, and a lot of us. I'm sure when I speak, I'm sure it will resonate very well, because this person I'm talking about is Father Varki, who's no more today, and he's had a huge influence, as many other people in Loyola have really influenced a lot of us here, and I also take this opportunity to thank all of them. But let me not go on that note, because that's not the purpose of this meeting. But thanks for saying that, Sumesh, and it rings very well with me as well. Jishnu, why don't you go ahead with your message for the youngsters?
There was this question that came in that I'd like to pick up and answer, because it's in line with the question that you've asked me to answer as well, which is, a help me choose between IT and music. And there's a question here that says, I want to become a music director in the Tamil film industry, but I love the IT field too. But my parents are not willing to make me a music director. They're saying, keep your music as a passion. I want to make it as a profession. And I'm inspired by the hip hop Tamira group. They're a musical duo in Tamil Nadu. What should I do? Now, there are one or two interesting things in your question. First of all, your parents cannot make you a music director. You have to be a music director if you want to be one. And if you're inspired by hip hop Tamira, I mean, the hip hop movement across the country is really just taken off. And it's an excellent, amazing way that young people are talking about the way they feel about the world. And if they are an inspiration, there's definitely points in their story that are likely to resonate with you. When it comes to IT, if you enjoy IT, as I also did at some point. It's not that I did not like my job. In fact, I was good at my marketing job. I love doing it. But the point is, if you enjoy IT, you're blessed. You have what I call a portfolio life. You can have different, you know, portfolios in your shelf. If you want to be good at IT, pull out the IT portfolio, deepen it further. If you want to deepen your involvement in music, go deep into it. The thing is, let's try not to see the world of IT and the world of music as so different. They are not that different. They're you're going through life in both those situations. When it comes to making progress as a musician or as a music director, start small. Find your equivalent of a short film that Santosh was talking about. What is it that you can do that resonates with you as a musician and probably finds, you know, other people getting it? You see other people getting excited about something that you create. As is the case with digital photography, the world of digital has revolutionized the ease with which you can bring a musical idea into the world. It's very simple if you have patience and the ability to work hard. If you're able to do that, then you're likely to be able to make progress with music just as much as you can enjoy IT. You can do both, and it's fine to do both. So, parting comments on the question that Vijay asked, which is what would you talk to people? You know, what would you say to youngsters trying to get into the field of music? What I've taken away and I'm reminded of is what Santosh said earlier: is what is your reason for doing it? Are you in it because there's going to be a few people who will say, "Wow, your music is great"? That's one kind of reason. Are you in it because you want to play at the biggest festivals where there are thousands of people who are going to be singing your song back to you? That's another kind of reason. Are you in it because you will get to create something that never existed and create that kind of joy, have that joy in the hearts of people that experience it? That's another kind of reason. If you can find that reason why you want to create, protect it. Protect that reason with your life, because that reason is you're going to be your source of energy. And all of it, the rest of it, which whether you work hard to learn the technology or learn music or make connections, or you're able to collaborate and create something, all of that is going to come from the reason why you want to do it. If you can find that reason, you're blessed. I hope we all do.
Beautifully put, Jishnu. Thank you very much. Uh, I mean, so it's a lovely answer to somebody who is blessed with having two great options. And Jishnu says, pursue both. Why not? And work hard, start small, and also the lovely way that you put this aspect around find your reason and protect it. Thank you, Jishnu. It's a great, brilliant answer, Vivek.
Just unmuting this. I'm Jishnu, I must say that I'm completely blown away with that, because I think it makes so much sense. And I think that's specifically something which, more than the students, I think which all parents should listen to, right? Because I think it's about them giving the kids, the freedom to think, and more importantly, the freedom to take risks. I want to emphasize on that, because I think risk taking is something that we have to get comfortable with, because it is not something that is taught to us generically, either by our upbringing or in school, where we discussed, it is said that you are supposed to follow this path and you are supposed to do this. We are never been spoken to about why not. Right. So I think why not becomes very, very important. And I think whatever that you choose to do in your life, I think the simple mantra is to do it well, right? Go deep, understand it, explore it, and do it as fabulously well as you can. And I think it's about being very, very passionate about it, where it means that you're going to be the best at it. I want to talk about the parting word that I want to talk is about luck, because we always, oh, he's very lucky, right? Oh, this happened because he's very lucky. What is luck? I think for me, like someone said, and it remains in my heart, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? So I think it's extremely important for us to have a dream and that dream is going to be the hunger that is going to drive you towards whatever it is that you want to do, you have to be your own competition, right? I think it is that which will make you edge forward, and then luck will happen. All your preparation will meet opportunity, and then that's what's going to take you forward.
Thanks, Vivek. Again, very beautifully put.
Yeah,
I'm so glad.
I actually also feel, sorry,
Sure. Sure,
I also
Santosh.
feel, Vijay, I think, sometimes it's very important that, you find motivation for everything. You need motivation. So
Absolutely.
normally in my case, when I start doing a film, I will dedicate it to someone I love very much. So, and then it is a lot of hard work that goes into it. And you will not feel tired because you're motivated and you're doing something for someone you love very much, like your mother or your father or anyone you love. So if you're going to do something for them, then you put all your heart and endless hours and you'll never feel tired. And every time you think that this is going to, for this particular person, you will put more energy and more work than you would normally. So I think that is
So,
a very important aspect to
right.
motivate yourself. Yeah.
Right. Motivating yourself and working hard. So, taking Vivek's point, so Santosh, I'm going to really think that you're a very lucky person, but that's because there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of preparation, which is what is meeting the opportunity. But thanks, Santosh, for that. Thank you, Vivek, for the great point, and also appreciate you bringing up this point about the ability to take risks, which is also so important. We might have to, unfortunately, come to this end of the session. Just loved the conversations that we had. I'm hoping the audience did enjoy it too. But I really want to know if the audience did enjoy it. So I'm going to kind of ask for just your patience a little bit more. And here are 3 more questions I might want you to ask very quickly. First, how do you rate the content of today's session?
Okay, now I'm nervous.
I can see the answer. I can see the answer. And we will close this poll in 3 seconds. I think I can see the progress that stops. Almost everybody has voted. Let me share the results with you. 79% feel it's been very good. Uh, can I have the results of this? Okay, 79% feel it's very good. 20% feel it's good. 5% neutral, and 0% not good. That's excellent. I mean, so congratulations to all the panelists. I mean, 78%, right, have felt that it's extremely good, and almost the whole exception for 5% who feel neutral. So congratulations to all of you, and very glad to hear that this went well. So let me share the results with you as well. I'm hoping you can see that. And can we move on to the next question? How do you rate the panelists?
This is even worse.
And we cannot vote also. Just imagine.
Yeah, we took a question. How do you rate the moderator?
Moderator, right?
No. Okay, we'll end this in 3 seconds. I think we're almost there with.
We should thank Binoy for organizing all this.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. But let me end this poll now, and we'll come to that. How do you rate the panelists? And let me share the results. Excellent. I think 82% feel that they're very good, and almost entirely everybody else feels good. 1% neutral, and 2% feel that could have been better. So that's an excellent. Congratulations to all of you. I mean, it's overwhelmingly, I think, a great result. And thank you so much to all the panelists. And I just have one more question. Overall, how satisfied were you with today's career guidance session? I can see that the answers are coming in very quickly this time. Thank you for that. And let's wind it up in 3 seconds. I'm going to end the poll. If there's anybody else, please answer quickly. Thank you. Again, the results, let me share it. I think a large percentage between, I think about 64, I need my glasses. I think it's 64% which says very satisfied, 28% says somewhat satisfied, and neutral is 6, and 2% really felt it could have been better. But again, I think that's nice to know that a large percentage feel that this has been useful. And thank you very much for that. Thanks to the panelists, thanks to the attendees. I will come to your point, Santosh, and Binoy, of course, done a great job. Let me first quickly just put up one little bit of information on mentoring. So this is basically two programs we're doing. One is the Explore initiative, which has the career guidance at one hand and the mentoring on the other hand. I can see the slide up there. The career mentoring program and process has been very carefully designed with an objective to help provide Loyola students with the opportunity to receive guidance, learning, and support from highly experienced global alumni. This also provides a great opportunity for the alumni to give back and share their learnings with the younger generation. So if there are any ex-Loyolites here who would like to participate, please email to exploroloba@gmail.com and let us know. It goes without saying that the success of any mentoring program happens through an active engagement between the mentors and mentees. And our intent is really to provide a valuable source, process, and opportunities for those interested students to learn and grow from that. And our plan is to pilot the mentoring program with initially a small group of maybe about 20 students early next year, and then to expand to a larger group after incorporating various lessons and improvements. And for any further details on the mentoring program, you could connect with Reverend Father Principal. We'll have to come to the end of the session now, and thank you very much to all the panelists. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your deep insights. Let me also thank a large number of ex-Loyolites from LOBA, the principal and the staff of our school, for the huge effort towards Explore and specifically this particular program. A collective and as a representative for the entire team, let me thank Santosh Suresh. There are a whole lot of people who worked behind it. And Santosh was the school leader in 1997. He's been a guiding light to Explore, supported with a large number of people. Of course, Dr. Ram Mohan, who's a LOBA president, thank you so much for putting this together. I must, Santosh, also definitely, I think there's been a tremendous amount of support and help that we have got from the backend team, which has been absolutely brilliant. And the work that they have done, I have not either been a participant or helped conduct a webinar where so much of work has gone into it. And it's just outstanding. It's just outstanding. And we feel privileged to be a part of an alumni of so much enthusiastic students and friends. So thank you again. And to those of you who are in India, I wish you a very good night and hope to see you again at the next episode of Explore. Thank you. Bye-bye.